You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode number 235.3, the Madison County Report, with the Herald-Bulletin's Rob Hunt. This week, Rob previews the Madison County softball, baseball, tennis, and track events, and we talk a little golf and basketball.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Rob, we're only a couple of weeks into this spring season and already with the first big event of the year, and that's the Madison County softball, baseball, and tennis tournaments, and we are here to talk about that. Welcome back, Rob. It's been a little while.
It's been a day or two. Yeah. You've been doing all right?
Been doing great. How are things in Madison County sports so far?
Heating up. We've kind of cycled through everybody's spring breaks where, maybe only a couple schools were active, but everybody's kind of gotten going now, and it heats up big time this week with the county tournaments.
The first really full day of spring sporting events is Tuesday this week.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, even today there was just a handful, a scattering of events, a couple softball games, a couple tennis matches, and a golf meet. But yeah, tomorrow it kicks in full gear. Not just Madison County tournaments, but some of the the other area schools that we cover are active. But our eyes will definitely be on the county tournament with the softball and the Nick Muller tournament starting tomorrow. Tennis later in the week, and then of course the track and field championship is at the end of the week.
And let's start first with softball, and that's probably the most intriguing. There are some really good first-round matchups, some really good potential matchups down the road because there are so many good teams. And I think it starts with Madison Grant and LaPel.
Yeah, I mean, this is a potential regional preview. I mean, it's possible. I mean, Alexander's going to have something to say about that. So will Frankton. I mean,
Yes.
it's kind of one of the things about the softball in this area is there's so many good teams. But, we start here with, like you said, LaPel's the defending champion. They pulled it off last year when they upended Pendleton Heights. And I just kind of looking at the way LaPel played early in the season, you have to consider them a contender again. Most of the team is back. They only lost Kristen Davis. That's a big loss. But there's loads of talent on this team. They're very deep at pitching. They hit for power. They get on base. They have speed. They play great defense. I mean, literally everything they did that you need to do well, they do. Madison Grant, I think, is the same kind of way team. Maybe not as deep pitching, but they got power. They've got speed. I saw them before their spring break, so it's been a little while. And but yeah, you can see it. They get on base. Grace Wood, the freshman, is just blazing speed at the top of the order. Then you go Carly Holiday and John Hyatt, all that power in the center of the lineup. They can beat you a number of different ways. So I think that's a really, really fascinating first-round matchup. Really, and we'll get to the Muller tournament here in a minute, but both those games at LaPel that night are really, really, really good matchups.
They really are. And then you would think that the winner of that game would play Alexandria. Not that Elwood is an easy win, to be certain. That's, I think, going to be a pretty good team. But Alexandria might be the team to watch. Keep an eye on.
I agree. I actually agree with that. I think honestly, there's 4, maybe 5 teams in this tournament that could win it. That you would not be surprised if Saturday at Pendleton Heights, one of these 5 teams is holding up a trophy.
Absolutely.
We already talked about 2 of them, and here's the third one is Alexandria. They were freshmen last year and came up short in that sectional. This is a team that's hungry. They are not pleased about not being ranked at the start of the year. They've got at least 2 kids right now that are D1 players, possibly a third and a fourth. I mean, they are really talented. I don't think people understand how good the young talent is there at Alexandria. And then they add their best player from 2 years ago returns. Jacqueline Hosier's back after sitting out last year. So she's plugged right in at shortstop. And Kinley Webb, who's one of those players we look at as one of the best in the county, she moves over to her natural position at third. and suddenly they're a whole lot better, and they have the most dominant pitcher in the county. It's a tough ask for Elwood. I think Elwood's got some talent. They're well coached. We know that. They surprised some folks at sectional last year. But this is a tough matchup for Elwood for sure. And Alexandria is a team that wants to win this tournament. I think you get that sense just talking to those kids and the coach.
And we talk about three teams at the top of the bracket. The two teams that look like the two best teams in the bottom of the bracket open up with each other on Tuesday, and that's Frankton and Pendleton, and that should be a good one.
I would think so. Pendleton, I think we're still trying to figure Pendleton out a little bit.
Yeah, looks that way.
They stumbled in their season opener against Shenandoah, which I think we're going to find out later that says a lot more about Shenandoah than it does Pendleton. I think Shenandoah is a really good team. They have a really good pitcher, and they can hit. So we'll see down the road. And they play good defense. But that's a different county. But Pendleton, bounced back, played really well Saturday in the Horseshoe Classic against top-level competition. They beat Franklin Central. Came up a little short against, I think it's Lake Central, which that's a team that could win a state championship. So they bounced back. They lost a tough one tonight against Shelbyville, who's also a really good team in that conference. They played a great conference, too, for softball. I mean,
yes,
you talk about them and Yorktown and Shelbyville and New Pal. I mean, Greenfield Central's no pushover. Yeah. So there's plenty of good softball in that conference. So, and Frankton's kind of, there's a question mark around Frankton, too. They've only played a couple times. They haven't played since before their spring break. They did lose a tough one to Lapel to open things, but, bounced back and won a couple games. And they're always tough. They're a good team. And both those teams so well coached. Jeremy Parker at Frankton and Rob Davis at Pendleton Heights. You're not going to find better anywhere. So, I would expect this to be a close game. It's at Frankton. That gives them a little bit of an edge, getting to play at home. And we'll see what happens. And I think the winner of this does go to the final because the fourth game, which we haven't mentioned yet, is the Liberty Christian at Anderson game. I think Liberty Christian is much better. But I think the same about Anderson. But these two teams are still, a notch below some of the other talent in this county.
Let's move to baseball, and we look. It's the same matchups, and I think when you look at the first round matchups, you look at the same one: Lapel and Madison Grant.
Yeah, and Lapel's undefeated. Madison Grant is 3-1. They just swept a doubleheader against Delphi, who's always a tough opponent. The Madison Grant's a team that went to semi-state a year ago. They bring most of the team back. Got to see them play earlier in the year, and they look very impressive. They've got depth at pitching as well, which with that second round game ahead for the winner of this, that's going to be important. Somebody's going to for one of these teams to win the tournament, they're going to have to win 4 games. So you're going to have some depth at pitching, and both these teams have it. And yes. Lapel started out 3-0; they're undefeated. So both these teams playing very well. It's a shame that one of these teams gets knocked out of the winners bracket right away, but that should be a good game. I mean, these are two quality opponents. Two quality teams. It might be Kai Newman against Luke Gilman pitching against each other in this opener, which it could be a lot of zeros on the board deep into the night at Lapel. Those two guys throwing the ball.
And on the other side of the bracket, Pendleton Heights has just looked unreal so far.
How about the start they've had? And 5-0 and just rolling people. I mean, big numbers offensively. They're getting really good pitching.
Really good
pitching. Colton Frank, Braden Stevenson, they are just loaded up. I could be here all day rattling off the guys that pitch for them. The Axel Adams kid, really playing well, hitting the ball a ton. Josh Williamson's another kid who really plays well and puts up big offensive numbers. And Frankton's another solid team. They're a sectional champion too, but man, I wonder about this matchup too. I think this is a tough one for Frankton.
Yeah, it is a good Frankton team.
Yeah, especially since Frankton's only played 1 game, and it's been almost 2 weeks since they played with their spring break. So this is a tough ask for Frankton. We'll see what happens. I mean, you never know with baseball. If you get a great pitching outing, you're in any game. But
absolutely,
definitely. And Pendleton Heights is the is the reigning champion and really kind of the kings of the Mueller tournament anyway. But 5 and
Yes.
0, and they just are hitting in the rankings, so they're starting to get noticed. I mean, they beat
Well, they
up on
should with those
yeah,
results.
I would think so. I mean, they beat up on a couple of conference opponents, Yorktown and Newcastle, swept both of them, and picked up another win on Saturday against HSE. So
That's a good
uh,
win.
nice, yeah, a really good win for them, and they're playing very well. You always look to them at this time of year, no matter what their record is. But when you see them come into the Mueller tournament undefeated, you really take notice of what they're doing.
Of the other teams in the tournament, anybody that you could see making some noise?
I look at that Alexandria team. They're off to a pretty good start. 3-1. I think they split a doubleheader on Saturday, and they're going to play against an Elwood team that's very young.
Yes, very young,
That's going to be a learning experience for Elwood. I think they're
but
getting some pretty good
talented
pitching.
and a couple pretty good
Yeah,
arms, I think.
yeah. I think they're getting some pretty good pitching, which maybe that's a surprise. I don't know, but I just
Yeah.
said it. If you get good pitching, you're in any game. I mean, you're a couple wild pitches or an error away from maybe scoring the winning run. So I think that's an interesting matchup, and if whoever wins that is going to play probably Madison Grand or LaPel
Yeah.
in the semifinal, and that's going to be a tired team will have played 3 days in a row, whereas Alexandria Elwood's going to get a day off
Mm.
because Madison Grand or LaPel is going to have to play that second round game Wednesday. They'll host, but it'll be against APA, so.
Oh,
Uh,
that's right. That's right.
yeah, they'll be heavily favored, but you're going to have to use some arms to get through that.
That's a good point. And the tennis tournament begins Wednesday, Rob, and Alexandria is the defending champion and looks like has a really good team again this year.
Yeah, they returned everybody except the number one singles player, Allie Clark, who had a phenomenal career there. She graduated, but Avery Cuneo is back from an injury. She missed most of last. I think actually she missed all of last year. She may have played the first match or two before she got hurt, but she's back. She was slotted to be their number two singles player last year. She's now going to play. She's playing the one singles, and they've also got an advantage of it. They've actually played a couple matches. They got a couple in, including had to grind one out at Greenfield Central and won that one 3-2. So um, they will open up against Frankton at home, and winner of that gets Pendleton Heights. I believe Pendleton opened their season tonight and got beat up pretty good. Mount Vernon's always a good program, but there were a lot of 6-0s in the match. So I'm not sure what Pendleton Heights has for Alexandria, but my guess is that this will end up being Alexandria at LaPel in the final. LaPel lost to a pretty good Heritage Christian team today when their season opener. So everybody's kind of getting that first match in and out of the way to at least get those butterflies out, and then we'll see what happens later in the week. They'll play Elwood under new leadership, and we'll find out what's going on there. And Madison Grant Anderson, two teams that had really hard real tough years last year, and they will play each other. I probably give the edge to the Madison Grant. I think they've got some experience back. So
And some
um,
young talent.
and some young talent. So we'll see what happens. It's hard to bet against Matt DeVault this time of year in Alexandria.
Yeah.
6 in a row. The only thing that stopped them during that run was COVID when the spring got canceled. And they've won 7 of the last 8 tournaments that have been held. The thing about Alexandria is they're really deep too, not just at singles, but their doubles teams are really good. Lily
Very
Harp and
good.
Addie Gaines are back at 1 doubles, and then Delilah Young and Addie Bates 2 doubles. So and those are both kids who are seasoned. So this is a deep and experienced team. I would give Alexandria the favorite nod this week.
Then we turn our attention to the track meet, which is Friday night. Where's that being held this year?
Every year, that's at Madison Grant, and
Madison Grant.
it's almost guaranteed to rain at some point in the evening. We were kind of joking about it up there. I believe I was talking with Ryan Plovic, the athletic director up there, and it seems like every year if it's not interrupted, at least it rains at some point during the evening, even if it's a light shower or something. It doesn't postpone it, but it's been postponed to the next day. There have been delays in between. It finished late at night. But to me, it's always one of the best events in the summer or the
Yes.
spring. We get to see a lot of great individual talent. I think Pendleton Heights is probably the favorite this year. Madison Grant boys won it the last 2 years, but they're a much smaller team this year. So we'll see if Pendleton Heights can get that trophy back. I wouldn't rule out Anderson. I think Anderson's got some talent on that side, especially on the boys' side. But the girls, we're going to lean heavily toward Pendleton Heights on that one.
Absolutely. Obviously, Ava Gerald is a name that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the more of the individuals we should be keeping an eye on.
Certainly on the girls' side, with Pendleton Heights, Anya Zeller, we remember her from cross country. What a great year she had. She's going to be right there with Ava in some of those distance events. Maddie Pfister is a great sprinter for the Arabians. Look for her at maybe the 100 and 200. On the boys' side, I'm really interested to see how Reed Hamilton does. Saw him season opener he's a sophomore for LaPel, and he won the high jump that first day with a jump that would have put him in the top 5 at the state finals last year. So, and that's the first time out of the gate.
Whoa.
So we're going to see what he does. I think that county record, and I can't remember who owns it, but that one may be in trouble Friday. So he'd definitely be one. Benson Davis is another kid from Pendleton who had a great fall at the cross country meet, and he's got high hopes maybe going to the state finals this spring as well. Just a few that we can look forward to, and I think there's some throwers out there. The Boston Caudell, I think, is another one. Kid from Madison Grant,
Rosen White as well.
Rosen White, yes, yeah, for sure. There's a name that I definitely would look at as potential. Maybe he may sweep the throws Friday. We'll see.
Let's talk a little golf. The Madison County tournament isn't for a couple of weeks, but you were out at some golf today and saw a pretty good young Elwood Panthers team.
So a couple of sophomores shared medalist honors, Luke Groover and Aiden Nichols, and got to see Aiden drop about a 12-footer for birdie.
Nice.
That was the one birdie on the day. So, I think I'm not saying Elwood's going to win a sectional or go to state or anything, but I think that's a much better program. That may be one of the more improved programs going. Wasn't that long ago, they shot a 181 as a team today. Wasn't that long ago that 225 would have been a good score for them. Absolutely. In a 9-hole tournament. So good. Hats off to Coach Daly and Coach Austin up there. They do a phenomenal job getting kids excited about playing golf. Jaden Mullins, we know Jaden. We love Jaden. Everybody loves Jaden, right? He's out playing golf this spring and had never played it before, and he shoots a 54 today.
Whoa!
Smiling the whole time.
That's a natural.
Yeah, smiling the whole time. That's the thing about athletes when. Even if they've never played a sport, they kind of have a clue. They go in.
But golf is different, Rob. Golf is just so different.
Golf is way different, bro.
Yes.
But he's out there, he's just smiling away and just having a great time. So, which was great to see. I know football season was tough on him, and basketball was a little better, but just because he's not surrounded by a whole lot of talent.
Not a lot of wins.
Yeah, not a lot of W's, but golf's one of those. He can go out there and he's eyeing them on his own and doing his thing. And hey, he's 2-0. They've swept that 3-way meet tonight. They're 2-0. So
nice.
So that's a great start for Elwood. And we talk about you got brought up the county, which is a little later. That's the one that's not competed this week. The far away favorite is Pendleton Heights.
Absolutely.
I mean they put out they beat some teams they're going to have to beat to get out of sectional. And that's something that's been gnawing at them the last couple of years. I mean, they wanted to get out of that sectional, and they've come so close. They lost in a playoff one year. Or, I'm sorry, they lost to a tiebreaker one year. Came up just a few shots short last year. They got Ryan Davis is back. He went to state finals last year. They've got a couple freshmen, including Anya Zeller's twin brother, who shot a 78 his first time out over there at Yorktown. They finished third at the Yorktown Invitational Saturday, which has always been their season opener. And that's also the regional site. So think about that later on. If they get out of that sectional, they're going to go to a course they're very familiar with at regional. So it's been a while since we've had a team on the boys' side get to state. I think the LaPel girls made it down 2019 with Macy Beeson leading the way, but it's been a long time for the boys. So that's kind of the hope this year is for the Arabians as they can get down there.
When Ryan Davis is your number 4 golfer on Saturday, that's a really good
How about
sign.
that? How about that? And it was a good score. I mean,
It was, yeah.
uh, they graduate Sam Denny and then a couple other guys, but here comes these two freshmen. A couple of these guys, they were the kids that hit the hole in one back to back shots a couple of years ago, and they were playing at the middle school level. So, on the same hole. I mean,
Wow.
one knocked it in. The next kid came up, knocked it in. They had to go both pick them out of the hole at the same time. So that's kind of what they're rich get richer there. But we'll see what happens. It's at Alexandria this year, which is the first time the county's been contested at Alexandria since they opened the new course. So I'm excited about that. And you know, LaPel I think is going to be pretty solid. They have a lot of their team back. Franklin's always pretty good.
Yeah.
Unsure about some of the other teams. I think Coach Chuck Rabel is coaching the boys as well at Anderson. So there's going to be more excitement
Yeah.
than there has been in the past. We saw that in the fall with the girls.
Yes,
So
we did.
we'll see what happens. I think that's one that Pendleton Knights is a clear runaway favorite for that one.
Should be a good week or two here for the Arabians.
Yeah. This is typically they do pretty well in the spring, and I sitting there thinking about it. I think the only one I'd be surprised that they would win might be the tennis. Um, I don't think anybody'd be surprised if they win softball, baseball, both tracks, and the golf.
I
As
think
far
they'd
as
be
the spring
favored in
done.
all those except for softball, and that would be
Softball
pretty
might be a
close.
pick 'em. That might be a
Yeah,
pick 'em
might be
situation,
close.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
do you want to bet your house on
No,
Pendleton or LaPel or not that I mean
no.
any one of those teams. I mean, Alexandria is right there.
Alexandria.
I wouldn't fall out of bed with shock if Frankton won it.
Looking forward to a great week of Madison County athletics. Thanks so much to Rob Hunt for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report, spending some time talking some Madison County sports. And thank you for listening. If you are interested in the Central Indiana Sports Report continuing to grow and thrive, please share these segments with your friends and family. We humbly thank you in advance. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susan.